right, let's get started. Hi everyone. How you guys all feeling? Saturday morning. It's a commitment, right? All right, let's get started. We're going to start with introduction, so you will know us a little bit, and this is the agenda, and then I hand over the rest to Chen. She's the prime teacher in our bootcamp. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. Introduction, we're going to have a little short coffee break, and so we have a lot of stuff to do for today, so be prepared. Okay, let's start with us. I know, okay, anybody else? You guys, do you hear us well in online? No? Like this better? Yes. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. We're going to use this mic. Probably. Give me 1 second. We're going to. This one good? How do you hear me?
Oh no.
Worse. Okay. Worse. How about now? Yes, we are recording. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool.
Still cannot hear you.
I don't know. This one better? Okay, let's use this mic. All right. Okay, let's go with the introduction. This is just a part of our team. So my name is Evgeny Kim. I'm a founder and of this bootcamp co-founder. Basically, here's my LinkedIn profile. I used to be a software development test in company Verify. That was my last job. Previously, I have 5 more, other jobs, actually, total 5. I started in 2015 with company Age of Learning. And yeah, that's pretty much it, right? And the last company, I was there about almost 1.5, 2 years. That's the company where I used to work, and the projects, some of them are Google. I was working with a Google team and for integration. So that was a pretty big project. I was working with Amazon as well. Also was an integration project, working closely to the development team. And I think my strongest skills is communication and job interviews, because I guess I don't know, the person who got more face-to-face interviews like myself. It was like my hobby. Every week I had one interview for about 10 months. It was like very intense. But yeah, whatever technical, not technical interview, it's always stressful. And Dennis, you want to go over?
Hey guys, my name is Dennis. So these are some credentials of mine, like LinkedIn, VK, Facebook page, and we also have a YouTube channel where mostly myself, I post a lot of like more technical related videos around automation and for basic QAs as well. So let's switch to another one. So yeah, as you can see, I work for companies such as Walt Disney here in Glendale, which is a very nice company. I was leading automation team at Lumps Plus, which is the biggest e-commerce website for decor and lighting. Also worked for Toyota, and the last company that I used to work for was Cornerstone. I was a principal software developer in test. which is the highest possible position in testing. It's the most technical position. Only 2 or 3 people out of 3,000 almost had that position, and I got promotion within 6 months actually from senior. So worked for Hearst Corporation. You probably heard about Hearst Castle here in like Solvik area over there. It's a huge castle. It's a museum actually. So it's a big media company. And the last project was United States Census Bureau. So the next year, something big is coming, right? It's a decennial event. So I was basically saving that application, one of 44 actually applications. So you can have an idea, it's huge. So it's big. And let's go to the next one. And I'm a certified skill agile practitioner, which is a paid course that I took. It's kind of fancy agile, and as you could see that our whole bootcamp is built around agile. So it's one of the most critical pieces, and one of the very popular interview questions for manual QAs, like tell me about your SDLC, tell me about your agile, how's your day looking, and so on. And my strongest skills, as you could see, would be more like coding and the more technical stuff. But at the same time, I would call myself like a sniper. So when I go to interview, as opposed to Evgeny, he's just like a bulldozer. He went on the interview like every week, and I was just calling him like, "Hey, what's up this week?" So as opposed myself, I usually focus on the like one position, one company, and I shoot precisely. So I didn't go that much. Of course, I had quite a few of them as well, and I failed quite a few of them as well. But I think we're just different kind of sides of the process. So let's go next.
All right. Marina is a QA lead in Walt Disney. You will see her later on, and she's leading this, of course, basic QA. Currently, she is working in Walt Disney Company. That's other few jobs that she was working previously, but she's very knowledgeable in mobile automation, mobile testing in particular. Yeah, that's her skills. And Chen, please.
So I will start. I'm going to make sure you guys are all awake today instead of me talking. But just a little bit to brief you guys on who I am. I don't really move around, if you could tell. I'm going to go to the next slide. I want to go to the next slide. I started my QA lead at stamps.com, my QA journey actually at stamps.com. Prior to that, I was working in the home industry, in the financing and integrated custom home development software. Like every single home development had a custom software, and I pretty much integrated their financial systems. And then that's how I pretty much grew into the QA role at Stamps, and I was at Stamps for 9 years, and then I moved into the QA role over at Viking. I want to ask you guys, what are you guys doing here today? Is any one of you guys in a QA role right now?
No, transition.
So we're going to go to our next slide. So my thing is I fall in love with people. I love to interview. I love the study of QA. I love the process of QA. You find a product, you understand it, you get to know it. It's something you do every day. Isn't that correct? You look at something, and if they break, you look at your phone all day. Isn't that correct? You can always see something that can be improved. Isn't that correct? Why don't you get paid for it? Right? So I'm here to give you and Evgeny, Dennis, and Azat, I think you've met him. They can all reinforce and help you guys out. I'm sorry, I'm also reading some of the comments. Exactly, relearning from another school. My experience, my communication skills. One of the things that I've learned is that your communication, your ability to talk amongst your peers, people who have experience in QA, in testing, it's not about it's not about you talking a lot and learning the best code. It's how you communicate. It's what you know. It's like, oh, I have experience testing certain things. This is what breaks. This is the best way to sign in. I want to make it easy. I don't want to make it this difficult, 5 pages just to sign in and log in, right? You want to make it easy. You don't want to take 5 steps just to explain something. That's just common sense. And if you can communicate that in a simple form, you've got yourself a job. So we're here to help you explain that during the whole interview process. We're here to guide you and support you. So that's what we're here today. And don't be shy about it, because being shy doesn't get you anywhere. Going back to myself, I'm a certified Scrum Master, and I don't shy away from asking questions. Even if I think they're dumb questions, I ask them. Because if I don't know the answer, I'm just gonna continue being shy and not know the answer. So I'll go to the next person in our group is Azat. He is the guru in automation, right? So these are his credentials. He has worked in quite a few major companies. I've been at Thrive Market, and he's doing a great, great job.
That's his recent company.
So notable companies, and we can all get there, right? Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So these are his skill set.
That's another. Our teacher in our team, George Andros. He has quite a bit of experience, 19 years. He's right now QA manager, basically, right? The person who is actually making a hiring decision. Tatiana Novik. And by the way, those guys are based. This guy George is based in Seattle. Tatiana Novik, she's based in Colorado.
New Jersey?
Yeah, Marina is in New York, New Jersey, and yeah, let's. So that's about us, and I will pass it to Ken.
Do you guys have any questions? Give us 1 second. We just have a few people coming into the room. Okay, guys, so I just want to go over the boot camp schedule. Our online courses are Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 8 Pacific Standard Times. And we have an on-site class online from Saturdays 10 to 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and no classes on federal holidays. So I'm going to take over. I'm going to go over the curriculum next in our next slide. So we have a hybrid online and offline course with real tools and techniques. And then right below here, I think some of you guys already have this curriculum emailed to you. If you've signed up for the basic overview, you guys should already have some of these information sent to you. So, software quality assurance engineer. I don't really want to sit here and tell you something you guys haven't read. What is your question? Like, what do you have? What is your question for you being here? I don't want to be the person just reading something to you. Do you guys have any questions to this? What is your fears? What is your hesitation? What is your Do you need clarity about what a software quality assurance engineer? Are you unclear about certain things in certain process of this whole entire course?
Let me actually ask another question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys raise a hand and also online just plus, make plus?
Sound.
Should be hungry. Anybody know what QA does? Okay, one. All right. Who don't know at all like what QA is and what they are doing?
There we go.
Yeah. Don't be shy. Okay. We have quite a few, and that's what we going to explain. Okay, find bugs and have them fixed. Okay, it's not really related, but
Okay.
let's go for it.
So you can't hear us? Can you hear us now? Okay, so we'll speak directly right into the microphone. So we have different quality assurance. In companies, you have ranges of entry-level quality assurance to senior, to what Dennis mentioned, to the principal. You can go from a very entry-level to a middle, to a senior, and to the principal. You can have a multitude of ranges. So don't ever get fearful that there's no entry point for you. There's always a place for you guys to start, right? Just to tell you about my journey, I started from a call center. I was answering calls. And what happened was I got kicked out of the housing market. When the housing boom industry got let go of everybody during that financial market in 2008, I was laid off. And I was looking for a job, and I could not find a job. So I started from the bottom. I applied to be a call center operator, a technical support rep, and I was one of the first female at stamps.com, and I took a test, and they tested me on printer drivers, installing and uninstalling printer drivers. It was the worst headache ever to uninstall printer drivers, but I passed. I was one of the first females that passed that particular test. I was 3 months into the call center, and it was the worst job of my life. I did a 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift, and I had men call me up and said, put a guy on the phone. I don't want to talk to a female. I don't want to troubleshoot with a female. I told my supervisor, I'm resigning. I can't do this anymore. And she's like, well, we have a QA associate, a junior associate position that you might want to consider applying. I said, I don't even know what QA is. I don't even know what you guys are asking me. She's like, you have an eye for detail. We can hear it when we QA your calls. Like, what are you QAing my calls for? We quality assurance your calls. We're checking the details in your call. And we see that you are an eligible candidate for a quality, our junior quality associate, entry-level position. Apply for it, do the test, and see if you can figure out if there's an issue with our printing software. I did it. I noticed that when I logged into their software, it doesn't automatically log you in. It kicks you out if you're idle. You know, like if you leave the software open for a little bit, it doesn't log you out. So anybody can come in, print postage with your account and use your account, you know. And I was given a job as a junior associate. And within 9 years I was there, and I became the back-end QA lead, and I went from a manual QA tester, and I was promoted, I think, 8 times, and I was the back-end automation tester server back-end. So I went through so much. You always have room to grow. I'm sorry, I'm also being distracted with different tests. There are different roles of a QA engineer, QA analyst, and QA testers. They're all generally the same. It's the complexity in different companies will say, hey, we want you to analyze manually. This is the focus that we want for this particular application, different products. we want you to automate this thing. Just build the code for this particular application. We just want you to get the suites going and kicking out these test results and all of this stuff. You know, it depends on what company you work for. It's going to be defined. Don't be scared of the title. You know, when people say engineer, it could just be a manual engineer. You're literally manually testing and like clicking the buttons to make sure it works. So it all depends on the role you get into it, and then you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out when you get in there. I'm gonna, Evgeny, do you have anything to add to that?
Bottom line, if you don't know, okay, I think that when you need to switch to from other mic, do you guys still hear bad or what? Can you confirm? Good. Okay, it looks like from noisy. This one is good. Okay, that's weird. All right, if it won't be better, okay, give me 1 second. I'll switch over to another mic. Yeah, no. We're gonna use this one. How about now? Is it better? Much better. All right. Sorry for that. We were using the new mic. Apparently, it's not really good. That one is better. So no more new mics. Okay. There were a question like, I have no IT background, and is it possible to become a QA? So basically, bottom line, what QA is. QA, quality engineer, is basically the person who has to act as a user and trying to find an issue during the software development cycle. And you will be working in a team. You can obviously read all these words, and there is a lot of words, but I'm trying to explain it as easy as possible. And for 3 months, yes, my previous background, before QA, I was in finance back in Russia. I'm from Russia originally, St. Petersburg, and was doing sales basically. When I got here, I was doing different type of jobs, including Uber, pizza delivery, and all this stuff. And I was participating in similar class back then. However, I didn't have that much practice, and I basically didn't really know what to do and how to pass the interview. That was the biggest concern, right? And I talked to other people who was QA, and I was asking them questions. What they're usually asking, how I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do, right? And how this works and that works. Even I passed that. All this stuff we're going to do here in our bootcamp. So as I mentioned before in our onboarding session, the process we developed here as we're going to work on real projects, and that will be your real experience. That's the main thing, and later on we'll cover it.
We'll go to the next slide.
Let's go. Yep. All right. I'm gonna copy this one.
And then just to cover, you know, part of the software development lifecycle, our delivery is to make sure that the final product meets the companies and governmental guidelines if we are in that particular market. The overall is the bottom line for the company, right? If we're a company, we want to get that bottom dollar. We want to make the most of it. So you have to also think that this is your company. You're working to the end goal of making sure that your product that you're delivering for your company is a good quality product. You're the tester. You're the user. Ultimately, you have to represent that you're a developer, you're a coder, you're a tester, whoever you are, always think that you're the user of that product. That's the best representation of and understanding of what you are as a quality assurance engineer. That's the first foremost. Forget about all the technical terminology, words. You are the user of the product you are working on. You will get that before you get coding and things like that. That's your number one principle. We're gonna also, this is a personality of a software quality assurance engineer. It's not up to the product owner. It's not up to the CEO. It's you guys. You are the ones who's gonna break things. You are the one who's gonna ask the questions. You're not gonna go to the product owner, well, is this supposed to work this way? No, you're the one who's supposed to break it. You're the one who's supposed to ask all the hard questions. You're the one who's gonna be like, if you're gonna push this out, do you know how many people is gonna make it, like it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard if you're gonna make this only restricted to pushing this field. If you're only letting people put in the letter A, how about if somebody's name is B? Like you need to tell them, you need to tell the product owner, this is wrong. You have that capability and that right. You guys are smarter than everybody. So you should never limit yourself. That's who you guys are. Analysts, testers, engineers. When you create test cases, when you code, when you find bugs, even if they are edge cases, even if product owner says, no, let's just do happy path. No, because guess what? Those edge cases are almost always the issues that are out in production. So never ever let anybody tell you that whatever you find, and I know this is probably over your head, what I'm saying will register 2 or 3 weeks when you create bug cases. Like for instance, if you log into something and you create bugs, I want you to keep this in your mindset. You are the powerful people. You are the people that speak up about products, because you don't want it to break and the company owner says, oh my God, who let this out and it's breaking? Who did this? Why didn't QA catch this? It's gonna be your fault. It's not gonna be the developer. It's not gonna be the product owner. It's you, because you guys let it out and it broke. So make sure you guys think about every single thing that comes your way. So that's the mindset that you give. Sure.
From the previous slide, please.
This one.
Yeah, the final purpose of us all, I hope, is to find a good job in this market.
Sure.
So first we have to learn this technique, this theory of being QA. So there's a difference between software tester and software quality engineer. And it says that software quality assurance engineer do much more work than just software tester. So do we get more pay for this job?
Great question. We designed this bootcamp to become a software QA engineer, not a tester. Yeah, basically tester is doing just testing and looking for bugs. Engineer goes a little bit deeper. He is not just searching for bugs, but he is also able to understand the roots of this issue. And usually it goes a little bit deeper, and we're going to cover that well.
Yes.
Yes.
Higher pay.
It will definitely be a higher pay, yes. Tester, I would say, is like the very beginning. QA analyst, to be honest, it's from company to company. QA analyst and quality engineer, or usually, very often, it's the same guy, but it's different salary range. So I've met so many times when they asking, oh, I need you to know coding, and but you're going to be a QA analyst. Doesn't make any sense. Pay is like for tester, but they want someone with a higher skills.
They want you to do everything.
Yeah, but it's not gonna work that way. Market right now is that I mean, we'll go over that. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
We'll go to the next slide.
All right.
And the next one.
workplace of software quality assurance. I mean,
it's an amazing place, I have to say. You get a lot of perks being a software quality assurance engineer. It's such a nice place. Sometimes you don't even want to go home. And they make it that way, right? They want you, because it's a salaried position. And a salaried position means there's no clocking in, no clocking out. They want you to live there. Let's just be honest. They want you to test 24/7. They give you snacks, they bring you food, you know, they make it so they don't want to leave. They have sometimes on-site gym so you can work out, you can shower. It's so pretty there. I have to say, like, it's really nice. If you find a software quality assurance job from entry level to senior level, it's a nice place to be. I haven't found any software quality assurance job that's like a really bad place. I have not, like, they make it so nice you don't even want to leave because they want you to work so hard. You know, they don't want you to leave. It's very rare that they want you an hourly pay because it's just too costly to keep you an hourly pay because there's so much work to be done. You know, there's no set time to find issues. Like, you know, they don't, 8 hours, they can't say 8 hours, find 10 issues. It's infinite, you know, they can't. Yeah, so they won't do that.
let me add here, the biggest difference between corporate world, if you might see, like if you were in accounting or finance or any other office jobs, the biggest difference between software development is that you won't have, I mean, your boss is not the person who will tell you what to do. You will be working in a team and you have equal roles in the team. That's the biggest and the sweetest thing, because the only what they care about is to get things done. So they have a project, it should be done. And no matter what, like when you do it, how you do it, after hours or before hours, if you do it in 3 hours or you do this in 8 hours, nobody cares. Everybody cares only the result. And that's the biggest difference. That's agile world. They very flexible, but at the same time, you will get trust, right? You have to develop this team player. As I mentioned before, it's very important to be a team player, because they won't be doing micromanagement. If it starts happening, and I saw it was happening in some companies, it's not good. It's not good. Usually, like, it's autonomic team can work separately from directions. You have tasks, you know what to do. You have team, you can communicate to them, and that's the biggest difference, I think. And that's the biggest environment change. So be prepared. All right.
Time management. Just be mindful. And when we get into later weeks of the boot camp, it's the sprints. It's being able to understand the effort that you put. You have a set amount of time, and the amount of time that the developer turns over stories and features to you. It could be late into the end of a 2-week sprint. You know, by the time you're supposed to deliver that story to be done without defects or issues, you have to be able to manage your time.
Yeah, in other words, what Chen is trying to say is basically you will estimate your time effort by yourself, and you will tell, like, okay, I will commit to do this task within a day, 3 days, 5 days. It's up to you. It's on your own good judge to say what's the appropriate workload, right? Not the otherwise, like, not like the boss will come to you, okay, here is a pile of work, it needs to be done by the end of the day, right? It's a little bit different. It's opposite. You have to estimate and obviously you have to do the best as you can.
And that's to Kisu on the Zoom. That's in answering your mathematical mindset. That's the time management response to you. Right. So we'll go to our next slide. Software development lifecycle, to put it in the simplest form, is there's a product owner in a company, and let's just say the CEO comes to the product owner and says, I want to build this product. I want it to have this feature. I want it to be this bright. I want it to look this good. So he's telling the product owner, I want this and this requirements, right? I want it to just look good. Product owners has all the requirements. He's has his documentation. He's writing it up. He goes to the developers and he's telling them, this is what the president wants. Build it. I need you to build it this way. Developer builds it. It's in Jira. This is simple, okay? This is just simple. I don't want it to get crazy.
What is Jira?
Jira is a tool. It's an application in the computer. Have you guys heard of Jira? Okay. Anybody? Anybody heard of Jira?
Okay.
Who hasn't heard of Jira? Can we switch just to show them what it looks like?
I mean, let's Jira.
Jira is just a tracking tool. It's literally saying, it's creating tasks. It's tracking like what's needs to be done. It's like small little tickets that says Adam needs to do this. Adam finishes this product. Once he's finished with that little task, it's going to go to Sarah. Sarah's going to test it. Once Sarah finished testing it, it's going to go to the product owner, whoever needs to verify that that feature is done. And there's these columns that, depending on the company that you work for, it starts with this needs to get done. It goes to QA, and it's ready for the UAT, means user acceptance testing, that the user accepts that it's good, it's ready to go, and then that's the column that's done. Obviously, in different companies, they will classify it differently, but it's essentially the same thing. So when you go to a company, and this is part of the whole boot camp, we're getting you ready. This is not, everything you see here is real life. This is what companies are doing. You can see that, you know, everybody who's in the to-do list, these are developers. They're developing every single components of these. The product owner is literally breaking down the requirements into smaller pieces. You know, they're not going to say, hey, build this in one group thing. It's going to take forever. They break it down into little pieces so it's more manageable, right? And that's what we call sprints. And this is all that you learn in this boot camp. So going back to the slides, the software development lifecycle, we can go to the next slide where we have that pie chart. Mm-hmm. So the planning, this is part of the software development lifecycle. The planning part is where the project managers, they collaborate with the operations, the whole team, all the stakeholders, people who have a say in the delivery of that product. And then they go ahead and talk to the IT team, the development people. They're saying, is this possible to go ahead and get this out, this product out? Can we actually get that little widget to make it pretty? Can we actually do this? Is this possible? You know, as a product owner talking to developers, can we actually make this pop up? Is this something that we can do? You know, they have to talk to them. You can't just go to the developer, or you can't just promise the CEO like, oh, I can make this jump out of the box. When you don't have developers able to do that, you know, you have to be realistic about these requirements. And that's the analysis right there. Once you are able to commit to the requirements and the analysis, you come back and you work with the designers. You go to the designers, you're saying, hey, this is what we've understood that developers can do, our IT team can do, and blah, blah, blah. Then you implement it. That's where the developers come in, they start building it, they do the coding and whatever. And that's where you guys come in. Number 5, the testing, the maintenance. the QA analysts, the engineers. That's where you guys come in as far as the development life cycles. So this is where a product where it just hasn't been built, you guys are testing it before it goes live, before it goes into production. That's where you guys are part of it. And you guys will still be part of it. You're just going to go back to it. Any questions? You guys excited? All right, we'll go to the next slide.
So let me clarify, because I see some eyes like, what the heck is this? So basically, you're going to do this over and over again, right? Plan, design, implementation, testing, maintenance. And then you're going to start developing new feature, again, plan, design, implementation, testing, maintenance. And that's the whole cycle. If you that's not that complicated. Once we'll go start with bootcamp testing it, and with Jira, it's actually, you can see it in Jira how it works. That's pretty much it. Don't get afraid of all this, a lot of words and bullets.
So the stakeholders of a software project, and this is what you will experience when you are at a job. You'll talk to the project sponsor, people who are experts at trying to get the project off the ground, people who are trying to get the project to go to different departments and having them sign off on saying, yep, this is what we want, this is what we need to go ahead and get a sign off, get money for that department to budget it. The product owner, the project manager who starts saying, okay, we need resources, we need Adam to start today, we need to start interviewing people, we need to start hiring Javier for this person. You know, that's when they start hiring people. These are the key stakeholders, the technical lead, the software developers, and the QA engineers. These are all the roles that are part of the software development life cycle. And the next slide.
And we'll almost get to the coffee break. And let's answer the question. Yes, one more. There is a question like, how long implementation stage usually takes? Well, that's a sprint, right? The sprints is a timeline where the whole team is committed to finish the feature, the task that they got, and you will get usually sprint like 2 weeks, sometimes it's 3 weeks, sometimes it's 1 week, but it's usually all set. So if company agreed, we implement in our team 2-week sprints. So you have the beginning of the sprint, the start, and the end. So that means you're taking, you committed yourself to finish the task within 2 weeks. And usually you don't just take the task, you have to clarify. Sometimes you need to break it down. And you say, this task is very huge and we won't be able to finish it within 2 weeks. We need to break it down in a smaller piece. And that's usually the whole team effort to do so. So implementation, that's where the stage is actually the sprints, right? Design, and the test cases planning, it's usually go along. I mean, it's off the sprint. Different meetings. When in some companies, quality assurance engineers participated. In some companies, they don't. If they participated, I consider myself that this company is good. They care about quality in their company. Some companies, they define by the sum, and again, very different from company to company, right? Because we are, generally speaking here, we are talking about like the average agile company, software development company. If you get into a government position, I mean, in government, let's say company, right? Or you'll get into insurance banking. Inside the company, some teams, they using agile practice, some of them they don't, because for example, if it's a healthcare, it's prohibited to use agile. It's waterfall. It's like should be set in stone there. It's different methodology. Different methodology. All right. Is it clear?
We'll have a coffee break. You said you wanted one question before we do?
Yeah. What kind of question can be raised during the interview related to the software development lifecycle?
Okay. Question was what kind of questions you can raise during the interview?
Related to the software.
Okay, you're going way off ahead. We'll cover this we will have sessions specifically for covering all these possible questions during the interview, all scenarios, and so don't go ahead. All right. Anybody else?
What about responsibilities? I mean, how basically owners pushing the QAs to get the job done?
All covered in this whole process.
Yeah.
I know you guys are all excited. I think you guys are getting ahead of yourself, but we'll definitely cover that. And I think he wants the job responsibilities and what the QA analyst responsibilities are, right? What the product owners and things like that. We'll all cover in this.
When will be the next bootcamp? Well, it was in the beginning. We covered the schedule, and the next bootcamp will be on Monday. But we are doing recording, so don't worry about that if you're missing this bootcamp for some reason. Mathematical mindset, already Chen explained that. It's, well, I think it definitely helps. Mathematical is actually analytical skills, right? If you don't do well with math, it doesn't mean that you don't do well in QA. QA is a kind of person who is exploring, right, and trying to understand how things are working and trying to break it and trying to find different ways how to do this. Does math relate to that? Not really, but what is math? Math is actually problem solving, right? What? All right, guys.
So let's take a quick coffee time. Everybody needs to get up and get going. Let's go.
All right, guys. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Oh. Did it?
Not resumed. Okay.
Was there a button for attaching a screenshot?
Yeah. So let me just show you it. So there's this tool that I normally will literally have it pinned on the start when you become QAs. I literally will just, is it here? Oh, I have to switch it. Okay. Yeah. I wanted them to see that snipping tool. So that snipping tool, and then
on Windows you have it by default. On Mac it's I believe Alt Command 4. Same thing can do.
And you literally just copy and it literally is such a native part of Jira. Like open link in a new tab. Like you can create bugs. 5 bugs in less than 3 minutes by just pasting it in.
Oh, there we go.
Right there. Just Control V. It's right there.
So you paste it right into
in the
text.
description. Yeah. Very easy. And your bug will be like that.
And your description will say pictures. So
Yeah, it'll show the description and everything, and you'll see the attachments right here, even when you delete it. And everything that you do is in this history. Everything you delete, everything you touch, who touches it is right there. You think you've deleted something, people will know. Just because you deleted something, it's still in the history. So this is Jira, it tracks everything. And there's another component of Jira, it's called Confluence. It's pretty much a documentation that's part of Jira. It's once you get familiar with it, it's like a how-to. Your team, even you, will build out like these. Can I log in now? That tells you, oh, how to test. Like for instance, one of my things is I have a credit card. Testing scenario where I need Canada addresses. So I'll go ahead and build a space such as this, where I'll have all Canada addresses, list of Canada address from Toronto, Ontario. So these are my like places I'll go to, like OneNote. Instead of having to open up OneNote, I'll just go over here, because that'll be just me switching from OneNote, and I'll just go over here and have my stuff. So this is like my space, my own space to add stuff. And this is something like if a new team member comes over, I'll just email this to him. So everything's centralized, it's knowledge transfer, and it's good for your team, and it's a good show of sportsmanship, of team effort when your QA manager or your product owner says, hey, how do I add a Ontario address or Canada? You're like, here's the information, it's centralized. So that's a good place to start when you want to add information, when you become proficient in doing QA test cases and needing information.
So how did you how did you cover this? You just basically put the image of the bug.
Paste the image.
What was the question? Can you repeat it?
We had a question in the room that wanted to know what the acronym CYA is. Cover your ass. Include screenshots. Include requests from the developer console if you have it. The request and the response, and that's part of an engineer where you can get the calls from developer tools. And you put that in the description. You put that in the description that's what you encountered. Okay? Like if you do F12, what I get for trying to show an example.
You guys hear us? Sorry, we were dropped. Yep, sorry for that. Let's share again. Right. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Trying to be useful.
All right. Yeah, let's.
So it's tab F12 mode. Do referrals right here. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, the screen is just too small.
Yeah, it's just too small, but you'll get it. If these are the requests, sometimes I'll like do a 500 error, and then you'll have your payload over here and it'll say invalid. You'll copy this, and then the developers will see what error there is. Because developers also trying to cover their butts too, right? So you always want to cover your butts because their job is on the line, your job is on the line. And developers have a way of pushing code to cover their butt, and you don't know because you don't know what code they're checking in. So they could say, no, I did that. I don't know what you're talking about. So you know what you're talking about.
Can I
So-
ask you, how did you call, you said that you push F12, right? How did you call the chart?
You can also go up to the view, or right click and you click on inspect code. F12 is a shortcut key to get to that little, yeah, F12.
No, but we will cover this whole
Yeah.
DevTools later on.
Correct.
Right now is just brief introduction.
Very brief, yeah. So we'll go to the next slide. So get out that. So Jira, everybody's familiar with Jira, right?
No, now they are.
And Confluence,
Just a minute ago.
you're familiar with it, right? And Zephyr. Zephyr is QA, you know, part of your whole implementation is setting up test cases in Zephyr. And that's part of the whole boot camp. So when you get a story or ticket during your sprint planning, you're going to tie in that Zephyr test cases in like if then this test cases. Like if you have that, it's a scenario where we build test cases to test a user story. So that's part of the whole boot camp that we'll go over as well. And then Zoom and Slack, Alex, Slack that I mentioned to you, that's part of the whole communication channel that we're going to do as part of this whole boot camp.
Yes, as I mentioned, on Wednesday, we're going to switch over to a Slack. We won't be using any more Facebook Messenger, right?
It says try for free Slack. Is it a paid program or no?
What is that?
Slack.
We'll cover that. You don't have to pay anything besides the bootcamp. That's it. You don't need to pay for Jira, Slack. Slack is free. We'll get you there, so don't worry about that. Yeah.
Okay. On to our next slide. So what tools do we use? Android Studio. This is the official integrated dev environment for Google's Android operating system. It's built on JetBrains IntelliJ IDEA software, and it's designed specifically for Android development. We have Xcode. It's the integrated development environment for Mac OS. It contains a suite of software development tools, and it's developed by Apple for developing software for Mac OS, iOS, iPad, the watchOS, and its TV. We have Browser Stack, and I love Browser Stack. It's cloud web, mobile testing platform, and it enables developers to test their websites and mobile applications across on-demand browsers, operating systems, and real mobile devices without requiring users to install or maintain an internal lab of virtual machines, devices, or emulators. And we have Charles. It's HTTP proxy, a monitor and a reverse proxy that enables a developer to view all of the HTTP and SSL HTTPS traffic between their machine and the internet. And we've got Postman. It's the only complete API development environment used by more than 7 million developers and 300,000 companies worldwide.
That's a lot.
So in short, yeah, these are the most popular tools really, and that's why we're covering them, because we don't want you just give something, if it's free or not, we want you to give the best, what's in demand. So once you get to the market, those are the skills that those companies are going to be looking for. So you're going to have all of them. So you're perfect match, right?
I use Charles every day. I use Browser Stack every day at work, Postman every day, Xcode and Android Studio soon to come at my work. But Browser Stack, Charles, and Postman, it's every day. I have to start that up every day.
If you're going to be a mobile tester or mobile QA engineer, so most likely you will be using Android Studio or Xcode, or even both. In my first job, I was working as a mobile QA analyst, and day to day, I was using Android Studio and Xcode both. Browser Stack, it's more for web or for devices that we didn't have, the actual devices. But and Charles, yes, Charles also most likely will be using with mobile testing. Postman, not necessarily, but it's very, I mean, it's a little bit more advanced. It's not that's the level of QA engineers, because you're going to analyze not the front end, but also back end of the application, which is not UI, right? Does it make sense? Right? All right, let's move forward.
So part of this boot camp is we want to simulate a real life QA experience, a day-to-day QA job. And we have a project that is built out, and it's deans.com.
And yes, Nadia, we are going to use all tools. Right.
No.
Let's hold on. Let's open just in the close it out and just visit them.
Production.
Yeah, we're not going to test it right now here, but this is our main project that we are going to focus on during the boot camp. And also we're gonna do mobile testing as well, mobile projects. It's gonna be different to Deans. All right.
So this is just the project overview of what you'll be doing. You'll be creating bugs against this. You'll be pretty much participating in sprints. We have 2-week sprints going over this, and you guys are going to task with homework assignments. What's our next?
Let's do the first step, QA task.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next step. Sorry, guys. I can't move this. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So our first assignment for this week is to take a selfie and post it in our Basic 5 Bootcamp channel and write a short icebreaker about yourself.
Let's have fun a little bit, because you are all guys are very serious about that, and that's what we actually do in our work. We have channel just for fun.
Go.
Let's do this. Selfie. And just post it in a
selfie or what?
This is a group selfie. Then you guys do one selfie for each of you.
just let's post it in let's flood the messenger. Let's kill it. To the second one. To the second one. Yes.
How can I find it?
Where was that group?
And please don't change the color.
Where was the group?
In Facebook Messenger.
I have no group. I'm not attached.
The Facebook Messenger?
Yeah.
Can you send me?
And an intro about yourself. Sorry. Uh-oh.
All right. That's fine. Especially online people. I want to see online people, because so why are we doing it this way actually? Let me cover this. a lot of jobs will have also remote folks, like remote coworkers. So that's the way like how we work. For example, in my team, in my previous company where I used to work, uh, the half of our team was remote. So you have to know how to communicate to each other, especially with the remote, because it's pretty challenging. When you interacting to face, it's like way easier to absorb the information, but it's much more harder to get the information from the person who is remote. Um, so that's why we're trying to do like all icebreakers, because you don't know who is on the other side, right? Like in our company, they're trying to bring all people in on site in Los Angeles once a year or like once in 6 months, but it's still right. So that's why it's very important to know who is on the other side. So online guys, please send us selfies. We need to know you as well, and we'll be doing this. So as I said, once we switch to Slack, we will have like the channel just for fun, uh, the channel just for specific tasks. So we will have this distribution. All right. But for right now, we're going to use this freaking Facebook Messenger. I hate it. But whatever, right? On Wednesday we can get rid of it. All right. If we are repeating class, can we post it in Slack? Yes, you can post it in Slack again. Please do so. Either Slack or Facebook. Yep.
I had a question. Slack is an application for mobile or just only for desktop?
Slack. What is the Slack application? Who's using it? I mean, nowadays it's very common across different companies, but it was designed specifically like a lot of software developing companies were using it. So it doesn't really matter, mobile, web, which application you have to use. You have if you well, I have installed on the phone this app. I have installed separate application on the my machine on the laptop. I don't use web. I don't use through the browser. It's easier to use it as a separate application, right? At the same time, Slack is strictly for work. It's not for fun. It's not like dating app or something like that. Yeah. So please keep it in mind. And when we're going to ask you to create a account there, please your first official and last name, right? No nicknames, no like Barbie dolls, girls, all these things. Yeah, right. Let's move
So
forward.
Slack is,
Can you send me a message in the Facebook? Do you have my account? Okay.
so just so you guys know, my Slack is on my phone with my company, and it's heavily monitored by my IT company. So don't make any offensive comments and personal comments. And also, your Slack is also when you get to the point where you're an engineer or I'm also in charge of pushing builds to my environments. It's tied to Jenkins and I have builds tied to it. So you can kick off building software and pushing builds through it. So everything's tied to it. So it's a pretty robust software that is pricey.
Yep. Yep. Let's go with the homework. All right.
Homework.
Okay. Let's use it here.
I have to copy and paste that.
For some reason, PowerPoint is start behaves very weird. Doesn't open the. It's not available. Wow. Look at this.
Say yes.
Yes.
So the first week, these are your homework. You guys all have the link to this? Everyone?
Who doesn't have a link?
I don't have anything. No Slack, nothing.
Okay, no. Don't worry about the Slack right now. We're using just for the first week Facebook Messenger. We'll go to the Slack. LMS, you should got an email with LMS link. You don't have a link. Okay, let me add it here. Okay, please use this link for right now, and I'll send it to a Facebook page, Messenger. Yeah, we'll send this link to the Facebook. And
But anyway, I'm sorry, anyway, we're gonna have access to this whole presentation, right?
yes,
Later on.
yes, correct. Man, what's happening? It's so slow. Okay. Sorry guys for delay. Boom. And shortage of internet, I guess.
Does everybody have it now?
You got it, right? Okay,
You still don't have it?
you didn't find me, right?
I just sent you a message.
Let me reply back. Anton, right? Okay. Okay.
This information is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the Facebook Messenger.
Seems like we got a police officer.
Yeah, he's gonna be
Working
policing the channel.
right, working at this particular moment.
Anton, I'll send you a link, all right? Just right now. Check it out right now.
So I'm going to QA everybody in that Facebook because they didn't follow the homework assignment. They did a selfie and no one told me anything about themselves.
From where?
Should we write it there?
Selfie says anything about.
I know. Well, actually, the cop actually said, you know, he was in his cop car. So actually, that told him he actually did 2 for 1. He was in a cop car.
This is not a selfie. Someone took the picture of the cop. We cannot see our face there, so it's not a selfie.
That's a very good analytical skill.
Very good. I was just testing you on that one. Oh. 1 second. So everybody has the link now?
Yes.
Do you want to move to some question and answers, Evgeny?
Yes, let's do the question and answers for right now. We were pretty fast. All right, now we have online folks who want to ask questions. No, taking Russian, process learning the same. Well, requirements for English, actually. We have online people asking, like, what is the requirements for English? Is intermediate is enough? Basically, for English, you have to understand what people are saying, and ideally, people should understand you as well, right? Because you will go to the interview and you will be talking to very different people. If you're struggling with English, we highly recommend to keep it up and to learn English, basically. If you don't have practice with speaking with someone, go to Starbucks and stay there for the whole day and just talking to anyone else, right? Like, that's the prerequisites. Your English intermediate, it is a must, right? If you are just new with that, it will be very tough. We got several people who were struggling with English, but they got a job, but they were struggling with the process. It took them a while. We didn't get link. Uh, Let me post it again in the chat just in case.
Do you guys have any questions in the room here?
But let's give
Oh.
people online to ask questions for right now. Attendees. Irina, you want to ask question? Cannot hear. Give me 1 second. Irina, you want to ask question? Nope. All right. If you guys online want to ask question, you can raise your hand, and I will go one by one. Okay. Azima John, probably. Sorry if I messed up with your name. You can ask a question.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
I just want to ask it about the homework. Could you explain what we should have to do? About homework.
Yeah. So let me open this thing. So the first assignment will be to go over the introduction to QA right now, history of QA definition, and prepare interview questions. So the introduction to QA basically will be your first assignment for the Monday and Wednesday. We're not really strict for the first week, and then your assignment will be also here, but right now just the first introduction to QA. You have to understand basically what we just covered today, all these things like what QA is, what they're supposed to do, what's their functionality, and basic QA definitions, right? So you would ideally you should understand basic QA definitions. And then we'll go, so we can proceed with the bootcamp, and you will understand what's going on, right? Because it's going to be like a snowball. It's harder and harder.
What is prepare interview questions? Like a job interview or what?
Let's open this thing. So prepare interview question, basically what is software testing is. So those kind of things will be asking you. So you have to.
So these are real interview questions, and usually these are the questions that will ask you in the beginning of the interview. It's more common about like your understanding of what's testing, what's QA. Everything is explained here. So just once you get to the market, be ready. You will be asked these questions. And we have every week, we have different topics that we cover. And for every single topic, we have interview questions as well. So not sure about the total number. It's probably around like 100 interview questions. Of course, nobody will ask you like all of them because they just don't have that much of time. But during interview, they will kind of randomly pick like 10 maybe out of all of them. So it's better to be prepared.
Um, Dash, you can ask the question. I see you raised the hand. You, nope. Okay.
One more thing. I cannot advise you to do so, but I know that some of our students, once they get phone screening, they actually open this, and while on the call, they just find the right topic, and it helps them to answer. I never said that, right?
All right. Ella Bonder, you can ask question. Please go ahead. Ella. All right, we have. Let's go with the chat then. Mila. Okay, we have Mila. Mila, you can ask question. Mila. No? All right, let's go with a chat question. I'm in Jira now, but I don't see basic QA5. Thanks for duration is study 6 months. No, this bootcamp, basic QA bootcamp is 3 months, 12 weeks. Basically 12 weeks. Specifically, this bootcamp is designed to get the first job, to break this wall, right? That's the hardest part. On other room, for example, right now is going the QA automation bootcamp, which is basically people mostly there, they have already in QA, or you can go like with this bootcamp and then you want to expand your opportunities, just the range of variety of jobs that you can apply, because QA engineering, it's like 50-70% of the market of QA, and automation, it's like 30-40% of QA market approximately, right? But it's more high paying jobs and more high demanding jobs. It's like starting from 85 and well, way up to 120, 130 easily. But this bootcamp is 12 weeks, okay? Which format we need to use of the homework? Just go over that for right now.
Yeah, just go one by one. If it's a video, just watch it. If it's some page with the text, just read it. And if it's a quiz, then basically you're supposed to watch and read everything. So now it's your turn to give them answers. And hopefully you will pass it from the first time.
Another question, will you help with the preparation of resume or with the resume? Yes, we will. We have separate week just for go over the preparation interview. Actually, maybe even 2 weeks. Could you guys please turn off the sound? Just turn off the sound. After 1 week, should I register to a regular learning class, or can give us a second? We have some system problem. Okay. For homework, we should do yes, do introduction to QA, and don't do SDLC yet. Do just introduction. After 1 week, should I register to a regular learning class, or can I use the sister as I am using right now? Not system. Okay. After a week, we will transfer you to a Slack. That's the main. Will be the main thing. What we gonna do? Switching from Messenger to a Slack, and that's pretty much it. All right.
So yeah, the most of home assignments will remain in the same LMS system, but it's going to be another project. It's going to be much bigger, of course, because this is just 1 week. but we have basically 11 more to go, right? So another one is going to be 11 times bigger than this. But the whole concept will remain the same. Plus, we will give you an access to Jira and Confluence and Slack. And it's going to be the first assignment next week to get access and confirm that everything is set up on your site and we're ready to continue. For the first week, I know it's to avoid the confusion because most of you have never seen those systems, so we just don't want to overwhelm you with the configuration, right?
Yes, we have.
I have an administrative question. What if the Monday falls on holiday? Shall we skip that lesson or we have to replace it?
So, as we said, all federal holidays, we want to move our class to the next day.
Tuesday.
No, Wednesday. So we have scheduled Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, right? If it falls on a Monday, so next class will be, we shift it to the Wednesday, Saturday.
So we are just losing that part.
We don't lose. We just shifting to the.
Do we have any federal holidays for this?
Probably we should.
I don't think we have any federal holidays Monday.
No.
Oh, Columbus Day, yeah.
I mean, it's October, November, December, right?
Yeah.
Should be Thanksgiving for sure.
It's
Somewhere.
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, that's.
I mean, it usually happens. So what we do, we either move it to another day, or we kind of skip Monday but make the next
Which will
class
notify you.
bigger.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be
So
like
we are
on a
not losing. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just taking off the boot camp, and we still need to cover. It's just
Yeah.
impossible. I think even 3 months is very, very intensive because
And we will have a proof here that we did the homework. So you will see that personally. Me, for
once,
example, did
yes, you'll get an access to Jira. So the Jira will see your progress in there. Like, how do you write the bug reports? How do you do all documentation there? We can see that. And actually, that's gonna be your. You're gonna be working in the sprints in agile, as we mentioned before, right? And every sprint you have to finish the ticket, finish your homework, and you have to turn it over. And we have a team, QA team. They checking your homework and they accept it or not. Accepting, well, basically, if they accepting or they have any comments, they put any comments. What you have to add something there, you'll do that. When we can get an access to Jira, just mention that. Next Saturday, you will get an access to Jira. Just right now, you will get familiar with that, right? But playing around with that, you'll get an access after this.
You can't attend like online class live. Can you watch it later? Like
If you cannot attend to the live class online, we are recording this session. However, I messed it up. I'm sorry. 30 minutes is missing here. We will cover that. We'll figure it out. But usually, our classes, if it's Monday, Wednesday, so it's from 7 to 8 p.m. 7 to 8 or
7 to 8.
7 to 8. From 7 to 8 p.m. and the classes will be available either later night or next morning. All right. What else? Anybody has a question in the class?
I'm not able to watch online courses time. I mean, as an example, even Monday and Wednesday, right? They will be available recorded on the next day, right?
So where we store the recordings? Yes. First, just for this week, we'll send recordings through email and through Facebook Messenger. And please, just right now in the class, we were playing around, but after the class, please keep mindful using our Facebook Messenger group. If it's valuable information, you think you can throw it out, but we're just using it as a for yeah, let's use it professional way. And once we finish it, all recordings will be in Confluence, which we're showing before. It will be storing there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna add.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for answering requirements. Any requirements or recommendation on what would be better to use terms laptop, MacBook? Okay. Basically, what machine you want to use? Any machine is fine. Mac, Windows machine is fine. Laptop or PC, desktop, right? It's fine. I highly do not recommend Chromebooks because it's not that popular, and most likely you will be testing on either Windows or Mac machine, right? In my five jobs, I was testing in 4 of them on Mac, and I mean I was working on Mac. We were handling the Mac. One company we were using Windows, but I have a lot of. I mean, just right now, I think the statistics actually towards the Windows. So companies using more Windows machine.
Yeah, so some of the software that we're gonna use later on, like for API testing, for database connection, there is no software available for Chromebooks. So again, that's why it's important to use either Windows or Mac. If you don't have like any machine at all, of course, I wouldn't recommend you to buy like a very expensive one. If you go to any Best Buy or whatever convenience store for you, you can find one for like $300. If it comes with Windows, you find. It doesn't have to be very like powerful machine. Any machine will work. We're not gonna use like we're not gonna use it like very heavily. And once you get a job, they will provide a machine for you, and usually those machines are powerful and expensive, about like $2,000 each, and it's all controlled, and you cannot use your own machine for work. It's like basically illegal.
And I'm just going to add one thing. It looks like we're all hungry and it's almost lunchtime, but you know, this course is your opportunity to really get experience into the tools that's going to be used in the workplace. These are actual tools that you're going to get your hands dirty in. So I want you to exercise it, break it, get familiar with it. This is the time for you to have us tell you, don't do it that way. This is like, you know, just wrong, good, bad, whatever. This is the time for you to experience it. And there's no judgments. This is the time for you to sweat, to be nervous, to break it, to have us tell you the best way for you to do anything and everything. These are the tools, and these are expensive applications that our company are using. The Slack is a paid application. Jira, Confluence, these are paid. These are companies that are paying. These are not free programs. You can only use this by paying for it. This is not a free program you guys can just use by going outside of the company. So because you're part of this boot camp, use it, break it, find all the different components so that when you go to a company, you know everything. When they ask you, oh, do you know how to create tags and labels? Do you know how to filter the search? Do you know how to find issues of Jira? Like, you know, if it has, can you find issues that are related to the ones that you are open? You know, take this time to show off your work. You know, the more that you do, you can always, you know, 12 weeks is really fast. And you guys know that 12 weeks goes by so fast. This is a time for you to speak up, really show your work, and so that we can help you. You know, my thing is I love to help people. I love, you know, this is an opportunity for you guys just to get your hands wet. We're here to help you. Dennis, Azad, anybody, we're all here through that Slack channel. Use that Slack channel. There are fun stuff to use with that Slack channel. And once you go through this QA journey, it's just, the opportunity is endless. You know, Marina is such a great, valuable resource. She's with Disney streaming, that streaming media service. They're about to go live in November, and she's a great resource as well. We're here to help you with your resume. Everywhere you look, there's QA opportunities. Don't be afraid. That's not going to get you anywhere in here. It's all about really breaking stuff. And the more you're active in it, the more you're actually helping yourself is how you're going to get your first job. Okay?
All right. Anybody else?
So, when you started, you mentioned that all of you work in so many companies, basically for a short period of time. What was the decision for you to switch from one to the
Salary?
other? Salary?
Yeah, promotion. Basically, how it works, you can work it full-time or contract. It's very often and pretty common when you're working on a contract. So the question was why you basically were switching over the other jobs very often. I changed in 1 year 3 companies. That was a very rapid thing. The only reason was growing skills, right? I didn't switch from jobs to jobs just for no reason. The reason was, all right, my salary range was, for example, in the beginning $25 an hour, and I want to grow up to 35 and up, right? What I'm supposed to do? I have to learn some stuff, and I was learning. Then when I felt prepared, after 10 weeks, after 7, 8 months, I was passively searching. And then the same thing with another job. When I got another job, I was learning. Basically, you will have to learn all the time. Once you finish with our bootcamp, it's just the beginning, right? It's just the beginning. You will have to learn all the time after the work, during the work. And that was the main reason. How can we access Jira Slack from home to explore practice? Well, first thing you can access by yourself, but again, don't rush. We'll onboard you on Slack and Jira after Wednesday.
Yeah, we have a special document that will with the screenshots and even some videos that will help you to get access and get registered with every one of the systems. And it's in a company, when you get a job, sometimes it takes like up to a month to get access to those systems. Of course, we don't have that much of time, so I would say it will take you probably like an evening maybe to get all the access and confirm you're all set for the course. So we don't want you to struggle, because it's a very, very high-paced bootcamp.
Yeah. Xcode and Android we're going to cover in the middle of the course, but this is free tools. Android Studio, you can download it, just Google it. You can download it and try to play around by yourself, just even right now. Xcode, it's also a free tool, but for Mac users. So if you're using Windows, you won't be able to get installed Xcode. Just keep in mind. Either way is fine. All right. Yeah, next class is Monday. Is selfie and icebreaker part of homework too?
It is.
You should already did that. So no, if you missed that, that's fine. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, so the next week we're gonna break you guys down to teams, to agile teams. Basically the same way you're gonna be working in your company once you get a job. And it's very important because teams are small, really like less than 10 people, and that's done on purpose because it's manageable. And the key here for a team to be successful is the communication, really. So these are the icebreakers, right, that we posted. So we really want you to talk to each other, to communicate, and to work together in order to achieve your goals. And the same way it's going to be in your company, in your team. Your team members are going to be your basically friends. And more than that, in most companies, they offer like happy hours and team building meetings. For example, at Disney, we had 65 years anniversary, I believe. So we went for the whole entire day paid by company. And even I was a contractor, so it wasn't really, they were not supposed to pay for that. They did. It was very important for us to have fun together, to live and to become a stronger team.
Question again. Monday. So Monday, Wednesday is gonna be straight online. Even people who is here, we're gonna be online, and I think it's much more easier. On Saturdays, we're gonna meet you all here, but again, the same format. Yes. Are you going to break us in the team after we are enrolled? Um, we haven't decided yet. Yeah, when we're going to break them in the teams. I think we're gonna break you in the team probably on Monday. It's still indecision, right?
Yeah, once we get a roster of the full list of the students, because again, we have different students from different time zones, and once we start doing stand-ups, it's better to build the teams within the same time zone, so it's convenient for everyone. Otherwise, it can be like 7 p.m. for someone, but for some other people, it can be like 4 p.m. basically in the middle of the whatever work or job you have, right? So it's still in a progress and will be finalized on Monday probably. The next one, not this one.
All right, guys. Officially, we finished. Congratulations with the first day. I'll stay here for another 15 minutes, and I have like a couple of folks online wanna ask some questions. Just raise your hand. We'll go by one. Thank you, guys. All. Thank you. See you on Monday. Karen, you can speak. Karen?
Алло,
Yes, Karen, please.
да, здравствуйте. Да я
Let's
просто
use
хотел...
English, please.
Okay, okay, no problem. I was just trying to find out